And now it is my great pleasure to introduce the Director of the United Steelworkers, District 11, Mr. Emil Ramirez.
Good morning, and thank you for the invitation. And sadly, there's too many of these days happening across our country right now. Just in the steelworkers alone, we have seen a District 11 comprises of 35,000 members in 9 states here in the Midwest, and it seems like constant layoffs, shutdowns. This plant here that has a long history of supporting good jobs, good paying jobs, supporting the community and the state is the same thing that's happening, like I said, everywhere. 300 miles down the Mississippi in New Madrid, Missouri, 830 steelworker jobs because of a smelter that's being affected by imports from China that's filed for bankruptcy 3 weeks ago. That plant has 10 people there on the shutdown. Up on the northern Iron Range of northern Minnesota, the steelworkers alone have two mines completely shut down in the iron ore industry that totals about 900 jobs. Jobs that are good paying jobs that we're fighting to get the companies to reopen those facilities. And I can tell you why electing people to support working families is important. In northern Minnesota, the unemployment extension unemployment is 26 weeks. And we have all 900 of those employees that have exhausted their state unemployment benefits. We're in a fight with the Minnesota legislature. Hopefully this coming week we'll get some legislation passed that will extend those benefits for an additional 26 weeks, and hopefully they'll be back on the job by then. Here in Iowa, I spent a few years here in the late 90s when Bridgestone Firestone was on strike, and that's really I can tell you, I saw Sub-Director Randy Bolton walk in over here from our office, but that was my first time in spending an extensive amount of time in this state. And the current governor was the governor at the time, Branstad. And I'll never forget this day to where, so vividly, it sticks out in my mind, to where we went to talk to him at the state capitol about trying to get Firestone to settle this agreement, and also about some other benefits. And we had a meeting set up with him. There's 4 of us, and it was for like 3 p.m. during the week, and he just walked out and flat out told us that, I don't have time for you guys. I've got something else more important to do. Well, that's the same stuff he's doing today to the working families here in Iowa, ignoring their crucial, important issues. You heard about the NAFTA and the jobs it's caused. Well, I can tell you that there's been more than 60,000 factories that have closed in the U.S. in the last 10 years. That's 15 a day. Large factories, small ones. And I got a notice the other day, a wire facility in St. Joe, Missouri. We used to have 450 good paying jobs there. They're going to close in October. And the steel industry in particular has been devastated by foreign imports. The steelworkers, we file trade cases after trade cases, whether it's in tire and rubber or in steel. And we've been successful slapping some tariffs on some of these countries. But what makes it tough in doing that is you've got to go to the Commerce Department and show them that you've been injured, so to speak, you've lost jobs. and then you got to tell them why you've lost them, and all through that process, and some of these companies are getting pretty aggressive. They're appealing these trade cases that if we win them, but you know, that takes time anyway. The plant has to be shut down. You may win some tariffs coming in, but unfortunately, that takes months to go through that. So I believe we need to make sure that this type of stuff, we're not going to allow the TPP. That's going to cost us, just in the U.S. alone, would cost us $75 billion in lost tariff revenue for the first 10 years if the TPP is passed. And I know that we're pretty aggressive in trying to get candidates to oppose this. I personally believe that it's not going to be coming up in this even in the lame duck session. I believe that hopefully we've got enough support to where it won't be up. But I want to reflect on a couple things. This local union, I'm familiar with it because at one time it was part of Atchison Casting, and some of you older members that worked there, that was a part of the Atchison Kansas group that went through some bankruptcies in 1999 and has since then been sold and bought and sold and bought 3 different times. Currently owned by a foreign company from Australia that's really making it tough for us to do business like we used to do here in Keokuk. And this local, when I became the director 2 years ago, prior to that I was assistant to the director for 9 years. And I remember coming over and meeting with Jerry Kearns and some of the prior leadership, and of the difficulties we had at this facility, where it seemed like maybe the Department of Defense would cut their budget, and the product that was geared to come here, they weren't going to build it here. So I can tell you that the steelworkers will support you. I'm not sure where we're at on the TAA process. I'll talk to Randy. I know Congressman Losack was here yesterday, I believe, or last week. Yeah, last week. And so the ones that are capable of moving on to a different facility, hopefully you'll have that opportunity. But how I want to finish up here is talking about why elections are important. Elections affect us all. And I'm here also not to tell you how to vote, but I can tell you that there's one candidate that is probably one of the most anti-union candidates in American history. I'm not going to mention his name, but he doesn't support right to work, he loves it. He's kind of been the ATM and the head cheerleader for politicians like Scott Walker, and he's routinely attacked the rights of workers in his own company. In fact, he has plainly said he would do without unions altogether. That's a quote from him. I can tell you that American workers haven't got a real raise in 40 years. But this person says that wages in America are too high. At a time when working people are struggling to make ends meet and income inequality is through the roof, this person has the audacity to claim our pay should be cut. It's one thing for profit-hungry employers to try to hold wages down. It's entirely another for a presidential candidate to do the same. I believe the person is out of touch views on the value of workers disqualifies him as a candidate for the presidency. This person said he's for the American working class, but when you really look close at it, it's just a bunch of hot air, I believe. He's gone out of his way to acknowledge the frustrations of working families. and I acknowledge that. When this person lashes out or says we're losing, he finds a sympathetic audience desperate for more politicians to validate their daily anxiety. I believe this person will be a disaster for our working people. He says he's going to make America great again, but his policies would double down on 4 decades of broken economic policy rules. He says outsourcing creates jobs in the long run. Tell him to come here and tell that to this community. He thinks corporate raider Carl Icahn, who's made his fortune destroying pensions and union contracts, would make a good Treasury Secretary. And we all remember us in the labor movement from the 70s and the 80s, what Carl Icahn was about. We cannot stand for the racist, sexist statements that he's made and positions he's taken. And make no mistake, it's the congressional Republicans who have broken Washington, divided our country, and made this hateful candidacy possible. But it's a very real threat that this person poses to the working people that is not getting enough attention. I ask you to, when you go to the election ballot box in November, to really find out the facts about who's on that ballot. We have to find a way to stop the devastation that's happening in communities like Keokuk, Iowa, like New Madrid, Missouri, Virginia, Minnesota, Des Moines, Iowa, Kansas City, Missouri. We have to stand up and fight back. Thank you.